Hello everyone, it's time for the English break. Grab your drink, we've got 10 to 15 minutes. Let's learn and practice English together. Today we've got the beginning of a brand new video series, common speaking mistakes and how to fix them. So in this episode, we are going to look at some reasons why do learners of English make mistakes, okay? We are going to look at every single reason I listed briefly. After that, we are going to start this whole series with word order mistakes. We are going to continue with similar mistakes in the upcoming episodes as well. In the final part, I'll have a little task for you, so make sure you don't go anywhere and just stick around. It will be time for you to give some feedback to decide whether a sentence is correct or incorrect. Let's jump straight into it. Welcome to English Break with Marta. On this channel, I'll encourage you to create your own English sentences, only in your short daily breaks. Keep the sentences you learn in one place, like a notebook or note-taking app, and come back to them anytime you want to repeat. In this way, sentences you read and sentences you write will become the sentences you speak. Okay, so let's look at, in my opinion, one of the chief reasons why learners of English make mistakes when they are trying to speak in English. It's also a really crucial reason of people not being able to learn language properly, not being able to use language properly. So they are afraid of making mistakes. You know what? I've got some bad news for you. You cannot learn a language without making mistakes. The point is to learn from your mistakes, okay? We are going to talk about it a little more in the second reason, but for now, let's focus on the fact that we are afraid of making mistakes. So I'm pretty sure if you are a learner of English or any other language, you must have found yourself in a situation, for example, when you were at school. As a child or teenager, you were learning a new language and you were laughed at by your schoolmates because you were trying to sound, for example, to sound correctly. And by correctly, I mean you were trying to say something in a way that, for example, native speaker of this language is saying. When we speak about English, so for example, American, British English. Or maybe you're an adult and you have to give presentations in English. You can also be a student who has to give presentations in English. And every time you have to say something in English, you have to make a sentence in English or read something in English, you feel paralyzed with fear, right? You're so afraid of making mistakes that you are just unable to make any sentences. Maybe you are afraid that you will make a fool of yourself. So you just to withdraw yourself instead of trying and saying something in English. Maybe there was some time in your past when your teacher or your parents or somebody you were looking up to embarrassed you in front of other people because you made a mistake when trying to say something in a foreign language or any other topic. I remember many of my students on countless occasions when, they were apologizing for making mistakes, but there is nothing to apologize for. If you do not make mistakes, you cannot learn a language. And that's the truth. I consider myself to be a professional user of Turkish, and we've got this list with my husband of my all past mistakes. And sometimes when we look at it, we just keep laughing. I learned from my past mistakes, but I keep making some of them still. All right, let's move on to another one. So lack of practice, right? The more you practice speaking in a foreign language, in English here, the better you become, the fewer mistakes you will start making, all right? Another one, so many students, or maybe most of the students, especially at the beginning, they translate from their mother tongue, so from the L1, into the target language they are learning, word for word. We've got so many tools. We've got Google Translate, we've got an artificial intelligence-driven websites. At some point, it can be beneficial and it can aid you in learning a new language, but the more proficient you become, the more you should start thinking in the target language. And the final one we've got is false friends. I don't know if you've ever heard about false friends, but these are some words that sound and look very similar in two languages, but they've got slightly different or very different meanings, right? Like, for example, magazine in Turkish and magazine in English, or ewentualnie in Polish, eventually in English, bold in English, bald in German, right? So they all look very similar, but they've got different meanings. Let's move on to part number 2. So what are some of the most common speaking mistakes? As I said, today we are starting with word order mistakes. So just very quickly now, we all know what the word order is in an English sentence. We've got, for example, as in our example here, Maria loves tennis. So we've got subject, verb, object. If you want to add some information, for example, like place and time, you need to make sure that their place in the sentence is correct, right? So, for example, we watched a movie at the cinema last night. We've got new information being placed, so at the cinema, and time, last night. Okay, now in this part, we are going to look at some incorrect uses of the sentences. The sentences will be in red, so you will know from example 1 that something is wrong with them. After that, you are going to see the corrected version in green. Okay, ready? Example number 1. We went yesterday to the big castle. The correct form is either yesterday we went to the big castle, or we went to the big castle yesterday. So you can put yesterday at the beginning or end of the sentence, right? We do not put it in the middle. Number 2, I don't know very well Berlin. It's a very common mistake, by the way. I don't know Berlin very well, right? So very well goes at the end of the sentence. Another one. She very much likes dogs. And the correct one, she likes dogs very much. So again, very much goes at the end of the sentence. Another example, my sister has also a lot of dogs. My sister also has a lot of dogs. Okay, the next example, always I go to the gym in the morning. I always go to the gym in the morning. Now, always is one of these adverbs of frequency. Other ones being, for instance, never, sometimes, rarely. They most of them usually come after the subject. For example, sometimes being an exception, but now we are talking about always. So we do not say always I go to the gym, but you would say I always go to the gym in the morning instead. She never is late. It's a very tricky sentence, by the way. She is never late. So if we look at the previous example, I always go to the gym. This one should be correct, right? The red version. So she never is late. But if we've got the verb to be, it always comes after the subject, okay? So it's just to put it simply. So she is never late. Never is number 3 in our sentence. You speak very well English. It's also a very commonly heard mistake. You speak English very well. I like a lot it. It sounds weird, by the way, right? I think that you might have noticed that something is wrong. I like it a lot. Where I can get some coffee. So in this part of this first episode, we are going to look at word order mistakes in questions as well. We are going to expand on it with more examples in the upcoming episode. So what's wrong with this one? Where can I get some coffee? Okay, so can comes before the subject. So it's just, we change the order. When you will arrive at the party, when will you arrive at the party? We're finished with parts 1 and 2. Now it's time for you to practice. I'm going to show you sentence in black this time, so you won't know if it's correct or incorrect. Yes, some of them may be correct. After that, I'm going to pause for 3 to 5 seconds. If you need more time, hit the pause button. Take a little more time, but not too long, right? These are short sentences. Think of your own answer, and then we can check the answers together. Let me know in the comment section down below how many of these examples you got right, okay? And before moving on to the final part, I want to take a moment and ask you to subscribe to my channel. If you are enjoying the content I'm creating and you want to see more, make sure you subscribe and hit this like button, okay? So let's practice now. We can see the first sentence. My husband to the office usually rides a bike. Okay, ready? It was incorrect. The correct sentence is my husband usually rides a bike to the office. We always have a lot of fun in the summer. It was a correct sentence. We always have a lot of fun in the summer. Did you get it right? Okay, number 3. Where we should meet tomorrow? And the answer, where should we meet tomorrow, right? So we need to change the order in our question. Okay, the next one. He goes on Saturdays, never to the gym. And the answer, he never goes to the gym on Saturdays. Another example. We traveled last summer. And the correct one, so the sentence you've just seen was incorrect. We traveled a lot last summer. Okay, that's it. We made it. We've just finished the first episode of our brand new series. Come back for more. More examples are coming in the second episode. It was great practicing together. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.